What's going on, guys? Welcome back into the channel. Today we're going to be doing a second video in this series where we are going to be determining covering which stats are the most important, or which stats matter, which stats don't matter for quarterbacks today in Madden, and specifically referring to Madden 21, but also going back to other Madden games. So continuing in the line of positions, quarterback we haven't done yet. Quarterback is one of the last positions that we have not done on the offensive side of the ball, and we're going to be taking a quick look at them because there really isn't too much nuance to the quarterback position and which stats matter and which stats don't matter, but there is at least one that is really important for you guys to understand does not matter for the quarterback position. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into it. And we're going to talk about first throw power for quarterbacks. Now there's a little bit of debate, I guess you could say, among the community about throw power, and everybody wants to have max throw power. They want to have 99 throw power, but what I want to say is that throw power is not always that important for a quarterback, and there's a couple reasons why that is. Now, when you're a high overall quarterback, you're obviously going to want to have max throw power because that's going to allow you to throw the ball further downfield. It's going to allow you to hit your targets quicker. The ball takes less time to travel in the air. So obviously, if you're a 99 overall quarterback, you want to have that 99 throw power. But there are certain situations where throw power is not the end-all be-all. You can't teach throw power necessarily. You're not guaranteed to get any throw power upgrades or anything like that on your quarterbacks, and so the philosophy has always been, if you're going to build a quarterback, you want to build around a strong arm. And that's not necessarily incorrect, but some information that I want you guys to be aware of is if you're starting off with a lower overall quarterback, they're already going to be missing passes. And the thing that you have to consider is if they have a higher throw power, especially in the high 90s, they will potentially be missing their targets by a wider margin, and potentially more often because their throw power is so high. So they may be selling the ball, and they may be selling the ball even more significantly than a quarterback with lower throw power. So that is something that is worth noting with your quarterbacks, is you don't always have to have that max throw power to be effective with your quarterback. Now, what I will say is that the lower your throw power is, the slower the ball travels in the air, and the more it seems like your quarterback might throw duck passes, the more difficult it might be for them to throw deeper passes and things like that. But in this franchise with Daniel Jones, I've had no problem throwing deep balls and accurately throwing deep balls with 87 throw power. And actually, one of the things that I like a lot about Daniel Jones is he doesn't tend to miss his targets, and if he does, he misses them by a very slim margin. So 87 throw power is actually okay, and that's a change that they made moving to Madden 21, is that the throw power does not need to be as high to be as effective. They kind of lowered the threshold. Before, you wanted to have 90 plus throw power. Now you can get away with throw power as low as the low 80s, and you can be fine with that. I just want you guys to know the difference. But if you're really good with quarterbacks and you're really good with building quarterbacks, you're obviously going to want to build around the highest throw power possible, because that gives you the greatest base to build around. However, there are some drawbacks to having that max throw power if you're not as great with lower overall quarterbacks. With that being said, we're going to talk about the accuracies: deep accuracy, medium accuracy, short accuracy. Short accuracy and medium accuracy are the most important out of the two. I find that it is very often you can have a very low deep accuracy and still be extremely accurate on deep passes. It all depends on your feet being set and your timing on your throws. And so deep accuracy is not necessarily a super important attribute for a quarterback, so I want you guys to remember that. Although having good deep accuracy does help a quarterback locate their target deep and put it in the exact correct position, not overthrowing it, not underthrowing it. So that is very important to note. The stat that I want you guys to be aware of that is not important for user quarterbacks is the awareness stat. Your awareness stat, again, is fool's gold, like I've talked about in this series a lot. It is a rating that will artificially inflate your quarterback's overall. So if you have high awareness, that only applies to a CPU-controlled player. And being that you're going to be manually controlling your quarterback at any point that he has the football, that rating is completely null and void for a user quarterback. So it's very important for you guys to remember that the awareness trait is one of the overinflating stats at the quarterback position. Now the throw on the run trait, or attribute rather, play action, throw under pressure, these are actually pretty important. I would say throw on the run, second most important, throw under pressure is the most important out of those stats, and play action at an 83. That stat's not necessarily as important as the others. I would say that one of the most important stats for a quarterback, in my personal opinion, is the throw under pressure stat. The reason that I think that that is the most important stat is because anytime your quarterback is under pressure, that throw under pressure rating is going to come into effect and determine how accurate your quarterback is when he's under pressure. But one of the things that a lot of people don't understand is that quarterbacks are pretty much under pressure every single time they throw the ball in Madden, because the radius, each defensive player has a radius in terms of effect on whether they are considered to be pressuring the quarterback. So if they're within a certain distance from the quarterback, they are considered to be putting the quarterback under pressure. The quarterback doesn't have to be getting hit. The quarterback doesn't have to be getting sacked for them to be considered under pressure, especially with some of the X Factor and superstar abilities that are in the game. Some of those abilities allow defensive players to apply pressure from a further distance away without actually being near, I would say, the quarterback. And so the throw under pressure rating is extremely important, because one thing that I like to guide new players towards is telling them essentially that you want to consider yourself to be under pressure every single time you throw the ball, because realistically, with the way Madden does it, it's kind of hard to tell when you are actually under pressure and when you're not. So I consider myself to be under pressure, I would say probably 90% of the time that I'm dropping back to throw the ball, unless I have an absolutely clean pocket, which, I mean, how often does that actually happen for you? With that being said, the play action rating, as far as I'm concerned, it affects how well you fake out defenders on play action plays. It's really not that important for me because I don't run play action plays very often, very rarely. With Daniel Jones, I've started to run play action quite a bit more because he is a speedier quarterback, so I'm able to roll out and do some of those things. But with pocket type passers, which I tend to lean towards, I don't need that play action rating to be all that good because I don't run play action plays, to be honest with you guys. But if that's something that you do, you might want to consider having a good play action rating to help avoid getting sacked straight up off of a play action play. If you notice that your quarterback's getting sacked all the time on play action, it could be because you're failing to fake them out because you have a weak play action rating. With that being said, the throw on the run rating, very important if you have a mobile improviser or scrambler type of quarterback. I think, there's not much else to be said there. That's extremely important if you're going to be trying to throw while you're on the run. The break sack rating I find to be pretty much unimportant, but again, I play with a lot of pocket passers. I find that players will break sacks even if they have a low break sack rating, and I find that some of the players that have high break sack ratings don't break sacks. So I don't know what exactly is going on with the formulas with the break sack rating, but I pretty much disregard that rating altogether. I just don't find it to be all that important, and for it to be considered a core attribute, I think is a little bit what's the word I'm looking for? A little bit inaccurate, I guess. I don't think awareness or break sack should be considered a core attribute for a user player. With that being said, the secondary attributes, your speed, your acceleration, and your agility are going to be tremendously important for a scrambler or a improviser type of quarterback. If you want any type of mobile quarterback, and if you want to run a lot of the play action like boots and stuff like that effectively, your speed, acceleration, and agility are going to be incredibly important for you. I think one of the things that a lot of people overlook or tend to overlook with mobile quarterbacks is their agility, and possibly even their acceleration. These stats are really important for you to be able to scramble, because your agility is going to determine whether you can change directions, and a lot of quarterbacks like Daniel Jones have pretty low agility for a player that can move. So 83 agility, I'm not really going to be able to turn up field the way I want to, so I have to kind of predict what I'm going to do ahead of time and try to get it done early, as opposed to making a last minute decision, because you just simply don't have that type of agility that you would see in a running back or a wide receiver. Acceleration wise, extremely important for a mobile quarterback, because that's going to determine whether you're able to actually accelerate outside of the pocket and things like that and get away from the guys that are trying to sack you. That is a tremendously important trait, and there are a lot of quarterbacks that have potentially high speed but don't necessarily have very good acceleration, and so they don't really pick up speed as quick as you might need them to get away from pursuing defenders. The carrying rating for your quarterback is almost never going to matter, because if you get hit, you're probably going to fumble the football regardless of who you are and regardless of what your carrying rating is. You want to be sliding with your quarterback, or you want to be trying to avoid contact if you can, unless you're maybe like a Cam Newton and you can kind of hang on to the ball. Likewise, your strength isn't going to matter all that much. Your strength does, I think, kind of factor into your break sack ability. So a stronger quarterback like a Ben Roethlisberger will tend to shrug off some of the hits because he has decent strength. Your change of direction likewise goes into your quarterback's athleticism. That one's pretty straightforward. Not incredibly important, but if you're a quarterback like a Lamar Jackson or a Kyler Murray, you're going to want to have good change of direction or agility, or if you want to do the things that those two quarterbacks can do, you obviously want to have those good agility stats. Trucking, I hope you're not trying to truck with your quarterback. You should disregard that. I hope you're not trying to stiff arm with your quarterback. Disregard that. Juke move and spin move, I really hope you're not trying to do those with your quarterbacks either, unless you're a Lamar Jackson type of quarterback. But in that case, you better hope that you have like 80s or better, because you're not going to be able to juke anybody out. Like a running back needs to have high 80s to 90s spin move or juke move to make a move effectively. So I hope you're not trying to do those things with a 61 juke move on a Daniel Jones. Injury, stamina, toughness, not that important for a quarterback. The stamina does factor in a little bit, but generally speaking, I feel like the quarterback is one of the most stationary players, and even if you're a bit of a mobile quarterback, you can essentially pass the ball effectively and give yourself a break by just simply not running outside of the pocket for a play or two. So stamina is not that important. I find it very rare that my quarterback is ever tired, even with a Daniel Jones where I'm trying to scramble, or even with a Lamar Jackson or anything like that. And Daniel Jones only has 82 stamina. Injury rating, and trust me, they said this year that the stamina rating is going to matter more for quarterbacks, and I just personally have not seen that. Maybe you guys have, and you can let me know in the comment section if you guys have seen more of an effect from the stamina rating being changed this year from Madden 20 to Madden 21. But I have personally really not seen the difference with the stamina rating. And then the injury rating, I've noticed that quarterbacks, at least my quarterbacks, have not gotten injured a single time this year. I can't say that in any of my franchises I've had a quarterback get injured. Then again, I don't let them get hit a lot or sacked a lot. And even when I injure opposing teams' quarterbacks, they're only out for a couple quarters, or even maybe a short injury outside of the game. So maybe you guys have different experiences that you guys can share in the comments section, but I find that the injury rating for a quarterback, when you compare them to a other position that's getting hit every play, quarterbacks aren't getting hit every single play. Yes, they're getting under pressure, they might be getting hit, but it's not at the same rate as other players. So hopefully you guys appreciate this information. I know that this isn't probably the most helpful video because it is just the quarterback position, but with that being said, make sure you guys leave a like on the video, comment down below, and subscribe to the channel if you're new. I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a good night.